Suggested at times that Trey Savage, although, how much more do you need to improve a guy with an ERA of about 1, but could maybe add a small moving pitch like a cutter. That almost functioned as one, as now he deals to Xavier Edwards. A fastball for a strike, 0-1. 2 outs, bases empty. 1-0 Marlins, top of the third. Wind in the 0-1. Line back foul, 0-2. Speaking of the future, Xavier Edwards, the 26-year-old. I remember a couple of years ago, Marlins and Blue Jays were wrapping up what was kind of a lost season for both of them in 2024. But Edwards, in a meaningless series, had a standout 3-triple game in a Marlins win. Just kind of take note of that whenever you see something like that in person. And you look back a couple of years now, sure, he's not at short anymore. Now he's at second. But he has broken out offensively. Entered this game hitting .313 up to .317 with his double. 0-2. High and outside, 1 ball, 2 strikes. And that's with some pop as well, which maybe I wouldn't have expected when I saw him at 24, being that he's still 5'9", 175. He's got 6 homers, 3 triples, 10 doubles. 1-2. Is lined toward third and caught just above the dirt, or picked rather, by Okamoto, who throws to first to end the inning. Trey Savage has retired all 9 batters since Edwards reached and scored, but it's still 1-0 Marlins, middle of the third. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio.
In baseball, great teams know one thing: smart defense wins championships. The same is true when it comes to protecting yourself. That's why more Americans are starting with Byrna Less Lethal. Byrna Less Lethal personal protection products are designed to stop an attacker for up to 40 minutes, giving you time to get to safety and call for help. Byrna is proudly American and hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Play smarter defense. Visit Byrna.com today. That's B-Y-R-N-A, Byrna.com. Purchase and shipping restrictions vary by state and municipality. Go to Byrna.com to check availability at your location.
First, I take a sabbatical, then do absolutely nothing.
Glorious. But what? You'd win the New York lottery, then do nothing?
Well, I'd also commission a cutting-edge mobile bed, so I never stop doing nothing, even when I leave my house.
Okay, but how can you do even less?
Well, I'll spend 6 months living with a Honduran capuchin monkey troupe to learn how to pick things up with my feet, so I never have to lift a finger again.
Oh, you'll be a hit at dinner parties. New York Lottery. Can you imagine? Play today. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Carpal tunnel syndrome. Heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include
Blue Jays Baseball is brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Centers in Bowmanville and Bancroft, Ontario. Protect your vehicle with Canada's #1 rust protection. Find your local Crown Rust Control family at crown.com. Apologies to the people of Bancroft, Ontario. Bottom of the third inning, 1-0 Marlins over the Blue Jays. And the first pitch from Jansen Junk is a fastball on the bottom inside corner for a strike to Brandon Valenzuela. Valenzuela, Sosa, Springer, 8-9-1. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Blake Murphy. Junk, the righty, deals his 30th pitch of the start. And it's high and outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Junk's 1-1. High, 2 balls, 1 strike. Brandon Valenzuela, .238 batter, 2 doubles, 4 home runs. He's driven in 10 in his 33 games. 2-1 pitch. Off the end of the bat, a swinging bunt that's going to work up the third baseline. That stays fair, and it's an infield hit for Valenzuela, who was far enough out in front of the changeup that he hit it off the cup of his bat and just cued it up the third baseline.
I've used this term before, but that's a slow pitch single. You hit that wood board in front of you, and it rolls into no man's land where no one can get there. Jensen Junk was the first one to it, but not even a play at first base. And Valenzuela with a nice shrug back to the dugout after that one.
A la Michael Jordan over there at first base. That's just what he does.
Or Ernie Clement on his home run the other day.
That's true. Ladine Sosa up, and the pitch. He squares to bunt late and bunts it back foul 0-1. If that was a sacrifice, that was a bit of a late square. If he was bunting himself on or doing something in the middle, that's more what it looked like as he turned only once Junk was getting to the latter end of his motion.
And Valenzuela didn't seem like that was a sac bunt. He wasn't aggressive with his secondary lead there or anything.
Majority of the Blue Jays hitters do have the green light to bunt or steal if they really like the opportunity, all on their own. Third baseman Sanoja moves in a step off and throw to first, and a dive back in by Valenzuela.
Yeah, whether it was a play that was on or not, the Marlins have taken the bait here. Bringing the third baseman in, using one of your disengagements. Brandon Valenzuela, obviously not a speedster who's going to burn it to second base, but they're clearly worried about the runner here.
Sanoja's backed up now behind the third base bag, but creeping forward. Now even with the bag as the pitch goes home and misses outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. That was a good 10 feet Sanoja walked forward. Some guys bounce or take a step or two, but he is really staying active in between pitches.
It's interesting. Sosa pulls the ball on the ground and more of 20% of his balls put in play, so stay ready.
1-1. Called strike, a fastball taken near the knees, a sinker to make it 1-2. Don't see a lot of that sinker from Jansen Junk. Throws it about 2% of the time.
His number 5 pitch against righties, just something to run in arm side. It's the only thing he really has that moves in that direction. Everything else is going away from a righty.
One nothing Marlins, bottom of the third inning. Nobody out and a runner on first base. Junk kicks and offers, and the pitch is hit high in the air back of first toward foul territory. Hicks giving way to the second baseman, Edwards, who actually stays fair as he makes the catch just inside the line, and there's 1 out. With the top of the order coming up, let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill, 100% Canadian-owned and operated since 1992. St. Louis is introducing premium hot dogs. You still got about a week left there. All you can eat in the month of May. Visit stlouiswings.com for details. A couple finals today we can get to shortly, but first, George Springer hitting in the pitch. Low ball 1. I believe I saw Rays Orioles went extras.
Not only did it go extras, it went 13.
Wow.
Both teams scored in the 11th. Both teams scored in the 12th, and then the Orioles take it in the 13th.
1-0 pitch to Springer, swing and a miss.
So that game was a 9-7 final that entered extra innings tied at 2.
Well, that was yesterday. The Marlins won 4-0 on a walk-off. You don't do that all the time, but it was 0-0 before Heriberto Hernandez ended up hitting a grand slam. Next pitch to Springer downstairs, 2 balls and a strike.
Hero Berto, as the Marlins social media team has coined him, because he had a pinch hit home run like a week before that as well.
Runner on first, Valenzuela. The 2-1 to Springer is hit high in deep center field, but Marcy sprints back and stops in front of the track. He'll make the grab, and there's 2 down. Looked like Springer pulled the hands in there. Maybe that just snuck in enough to avoid the barrel on that right-on-right changeup that you mentioned. Maybe you see more out of from Jansen Junk. I mean, almost got in a lot of trouble from that pitch, but it got in enough on the barrel to avoid being a home run.
Yeah, that might be one that he doesn't listen to my suggestion next time out, because that one didn't miss by much.
Infield, jogging over toward the right side as the righty Springer is retired, and the left-handed hitting Nathan Lucas steps in. Runner on first, 2 down, step off and throw to first. Valenzuela, who's really not much of a base stealer, dives back in for the second time in the inning. First disengagement of this plate appearance for Junk. He'll grab his chain that spun around with the pendant of it on his back on that move, and he yanks it back into more of his chest area as he sets again. The pitch. Lucas takes a spinner low, ball one.
Valenzuela did steal 6 bases in the minors last year and has a couple scattered throughout his minor league career. But the fact that they've been very aware of him, a couple of disky engagements over the course of this inning is a little surprising.
Especially with who they have behind the plate catching for them. 1-0 pitch down and in, 2-0.
Now, maybe this is a case where I mentioned the stat earlier in the broadcast that they are the worst pitching staff in baseball in terms of controlling the run game and secondary leads and jumps and things like that. Maybe it's just been really drilled into them of late to be conscious of that, but I don't think Valenzuela's going.
Valenzuela leading off first, held on by Hicks, who's a step off the bag. And the 2-0. Called strike, 2-1 as he freezes Lucas with a four-seamer on the inner third. Valenzuela does have 1 stolen base at the major league level, but that was with a drawn-in infield and runners on the corners. He took second when there was no one there to cover.
Borderline defensive indifference or defensive decision, I guess.
2-1. Fouled back, 2-2.
That one's almost one of you're trying to bait the throw maybe, and the defense concedes the base to avoid having to throw down. Sometimes we'll see teams with runners on the corners put that play on where they actually want to bait the runner on third to take off in a double steal. You cut it off early, but that wasn't the case in that instance.
Step off throw over again in a dive back by Valenzuela. That's the second disengagement of the plate appearance, so I mean maybe he does take off now. They're probably not thrown over again.
2-2, you could get a little jump here.
Fresh count maybe.
You'd start next inning with 2, 3, 4 in the order fresh if you get thrown out.
2-2 pitch. Downstairs, ball 3, and now we know he'll be off on the pitch at a full count and 2 outs. Valenzuela will be running on this pitch. Hicks, the first baseman, turns toward his dugout. They just told him not to hold on the runner, so he will move off the line, back up and play behind Valenzuela, who will be in motion as soon as the pitcher junk is. 1-0 Marlins, and the payoff pitch. He's smoked on a line right field base hit. Coming around second, Valenzuela easily into third. It's a 2-for-2 start for Nathan Lucas, and runners on the corners with 2 down.
It's 2 very good plate appearances we've seen from Nathan Lucas already in his first game back. John Schneider was asked before the game about how do you fit all these lefties in now, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically said the quality of plate appearance Nathan Lucas can give them when he's on, which is part of why they like him in the 2-hole when guys aren't available. They'll find spots for Nathan Lucas, righty or lefty.
Post-vertigo medication change, he's 13 for 23. Pitch to Pinango, first and third, 2 down, is called to strike 0-1. If you don't remember, in mid-April, closer to late April, it was reported that Lucas was dealing with the effects of vertigo that had come on during spring training, had a miserable start to the year production-wise. 0-1, Lucas dekes a steal from first pitch, hit on the ground to second base, charging it, Edwards' gloves, flips to first, and the threat is squashed by Jansen Junk. The Blue Jays get a leadoff hit and a 2-out hit, but do not score, leaving runners on the corners and trailing 1-0 through 3 innings. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming on the Sportsnet app and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Choose to lean into it. Every Mazda is engineered to give you effortless control.
I wake up.
In baseball, great teams know one thing: smart defense wins championships. The same is true when it comes to protecting yourself. That's why more Americans are starting with Byrna Less Lethal. Byrna Less Lethal personal protection products are designed to stop an attacker for up to 40 minutes, giving you time to get to safety and call for help. Byrna is proudly American and hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Play smarter defense. Visit Byrna.com today. That's B-Y-R-N-A, Byrna.com. Purchase and shipping restrictions vary by state and municipality. Go to Byrna.com to check availability at your location.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com.
Marlins leading 1-0 in the series opener. Thanks so much for tuning in today. It's the fourth inning now, a fourth inning that's brought to you by Bet365. At Bet365, you can bet live in-game on game props, totals, and the money line. Download the app for the latest odds. 19+, play responsibly. Ontario only. Trey Savage facing off with Toronto's Liam Hicks. 1-0 Marlins, top of the fourth. Hicks was a little bit tardy getting to the box, so he'll use his one timeout to avoid a pitch clock violation as he digs his feet into the left side. His Savage offers, and the pitch home is hit on the ground sharply to second. A step right, Clement picks it up on the third bounce and throws to first. And Hicks, a former North York Blue and North Toronto A, is retired. 1 out.
It didn't factor in there, but Hicks having to use his timeout before the first pitch really plays into Savage's hands. We saw it a lot, especially when he debuted late last year. He's a guy who likes to vary his tempo and keep a batter a little uncomfortable in the box with the odd quick pitch, so you don't want to burn that too early against Trey Savage.
Pitch down to Otto Lopez is up and in, ball one. Savage nods, brings his hands together. And the 1-0 to the Canadian infielder. Bounce to the plate, 2 balls, no strikes. Now Lopez, a native of Santo Domingo, moved to the Montreal area as a kid. His father moved there for work and then lived in Canada, grew up in Canada, would have stayed there, except it benefited him to go back to the Dominican Republic to sign as an international free agent. 2-0 pitch is hit high in deep left field. Piñango back on the warning track, makes the grab, and it's the second time that Lopez has teased the wall. He had a deep sac fly in the first, a deep fly out here in the fourth. There are 2 down.
He seems to be seeing Trey Savage pretty well. Got to the splitter for that sac fly in the first, gets to a fastball there for another deep one, like you said.
A guy who's developed in a big way. The Blue Jays had him, of course, DFA'd him, traded to San Francisco. Now, never really put in the stories. They also let him go, not just the Blue Jays. The Marlins were the team that wanted to take a shot on him off of waivers, and a shot that's really worked out so far as Kyle Stowers with 2 outs takes a strike.
And you can nitpick, it's a one that got away, etc. It was Ernie Clement who took the spot that nominally would have been for Otto Lopez. So you turned out okay.
0-1. Low, 1 ball, 1 strike. Yeah, you forget that Clement took that spot because the actual transaction for Lopez is Yariel Rodriguez put on the 40-man. Lopez DFA'd. But the eventual roster spot as that utility man that year was Ernie Clement. 1-1 pitch, hit back foul, 1-2. Not to mention they had to trade Santiago Espinal essentially to create the space for Ernie Clement. So it's not even like Lopez was in that next spot behind him.
Correct. Espinal, who got designated for assignment today by the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yeah.
That's a shame.
Enrique Hernandez back off the IL was the need for that one.
1-2 pitch to Stowers, outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Related to all of this, by the way, and it may come up later in the series, we'll see, but Leo Jimenez is also on the Marlins, who was in a similar situation this spring training, but he's on the IL right now.
2-2. Swing and a miss. He punched him out on a splitter in the dirt. Trey Savage has retired 12 in a row, but the Marlins still leading 1-0 on the back of their first inning sac fly. Middle of the fourth in Toronto. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
I'm Buck Martinez, and if there's one thing I know, it's Bucks. That's why I'm announcing Buck-N-Inch by Pizza Pizza. Get any two-topping pizza for just $1 an inch. A 12-inch medium pizza is now $12. 14-inch large, $14. 18-inch huge double XL, $18. Get any size two-topping pizza for just $1 an inch at Pizza Pizza. Take it from $1. It's a dinger of a deal.
Digging into some landscaping? At Home Hardware, we've got a wide range of soil and mulch, fertilizers and composting, gardening tools, and everything you need to make your yard beautiful. But the allergy control. Find everything you need for your next project and earn and redeem Scene Plus points at over 1,000 Home Hardware and Building Center locations, all locally owned and genuinely Canadian.
Why is Kintec different? Because real comfort isn't about selling you a shoe size. It's about understanding your unique foot and how you move. That takes movement and foot health experts, not just salespeople. And sometimes it means going beyond footwear to find the right support to relieve pain so you can move with confidence. There are shoe stores, there are clinics. Then there's Kintec. Footwear and orthotics, together in step.
Kintec Footwear and Orthotics.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Jesus Sanchez makes it 4-2 Blue Jays
On Sportsnet 590 The Van and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Blue Jays out hitting but trailing the Marlins as we go to the bottom of the fourth inning. 1-0 Miami, 3-1 in hits for the Blue Jays as Kazuma Okamoto twitches his arms and takes a first pitch strike on a hanging breaking ball. It's 0-1. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Blake Murphy. 1-0 Marlins, bottom of the fourth. And Jansen Junk just throwing his 50th pitch now. This is down and away, 1 ball, 1 strike. Blue Jays more reliant on a guy like Okamoto today. No Varsho, no Guerrero in the lineup, but it has been a tough go of late for Kazuma Okamoto, whose OPS is under 700 after striking out in the first inning. He'll take a pitch. It's called a ball, 2 balls, 1 strike.
Bit of a breakthrough moment yesterday. Maybe, but he's going to need to string some together before it looks like he's out of the weeds. It's been a pretty up and down year so far, including the hottest stretch any Blue Jays had this year.
2-1 pitch is ripped on a line into center, and one hops onto the turf. A base hit for Okamoto. Smoked that one at 111, and maybe yesterday's hit was foreshadowing something because now he's got hits in back-to-back days.
And that's big. That's got to feel good for him. And the Blue Jays once again get some traffic early here on Junk. Not that Okamoto's a big base stealing threat either, but they've obviously been very aware of the running game here. So a little bit of traffic to at least give Junk one more thing to think through.
Junk stepped off 3 different times to throw over to Valenzuela last inning. His pitch down to former Marlin Jesus Sanchez is inside, ball 1. Didn't get to mention this because Sanchez bounced out on the first pitch he saw in the second inning, but Jesus Sanchez, 6 seasons, over 500 games as a member of the Miami Marlins. 1-0. Foul tip, 1-1. Not the team that originally signed him. He was actually originally a Rays signee, traded in a deal that sent former Blue Jay Trevor Richards the other way, but debuted with the Marlins and had played his entire career in Miami until the deadline last year. 1-1. Swinging a liner, headed to right, hooking and down, bouncing toward the corner. Around second, Okamoto to third. Sanchez will stop at first with a single, and the Blue Jays have cornered Jansen Junk with nobody out in the inning. Sanchez stays hot. He has been one of the top producing Blue Jays over the last couple of weeks.
And a lot of that top production has been hitting them where they ain't. And when Sanchez is really locked in, usually he's using the whole field, going from that lefty swing to left center field. But there we saw one. He hit it pretty well, just shy of 100 miles an hour off the bat. Dead pull down the line. Not the smoothest swing you've ever seen, almost down to a knee in the batter's box for that one. But nice to see when Sanchez is going. Like I said, he'll use all fields. And while it's more opposite power alley, good to see the pull side sting there as well.
Yeah, was out in front on that changeup, but made the adjustment to make sure he wasn't so far out in front. He helps Okamoto to third, first and third. Nobody out. The infield will play in for the Marlins with Ernie Clement at the plate. Wide open right side. The Marlins playing Clement to pull because he loves to pull the baseball. The pitch. Tapped off the end of the bat, just behind the plate. It goes foul, and that's a big break for the Blue Jays. Joe Mack wisely pounced on it. If he gets that ball, he probably throws to second to start a 2-4-3 double play.
And Ernie Clement thought it was foul right away, so he's not out of the box in a hurry. You're basically crossing your fingers for a bad throw or a bad transfer there. That would have been as easy as they come. That's just throwing down after the pitcher's last warm-up toss.
0-1. In the dirt, taken by Clement on a changeup. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You'd think with the defensive alignment here and Okamoto not being a burner, the contact play probably not on here. The infield on the left side just in too close.
Third baseman Sanoja's pretty close to that bag as well, not giving Okamoto a lead as the 1-1 is lifted high, a pop-up on the infield. Second baseman Edwards makes the grab just crossing onto the outfield turf, and that will not advance either runner. Sanchez on first, Okamoto still on third, and 1 out.
You wonder if that one was Ernie Clement seeing the big hole on the right side and trying to take it there. It's an outside pitch that he has to reach out for a little bit and just gets right under it.
Typically, he's at his best going to the pull side. When he goes the other way, if it goes well, he'll admit often it was not the intent of that swing. And so big out there for Junk. First and third, still only 1 out. Andres Jimenez up in the pitch. Called strike. Andres Jimenez is tied for being the leading run producer on the Blue Jays. A lot of hits with runners in scoring position this year has helped him to 27 RBIs, tied with Okamoto for the team lead. 0-1 pitch. Down and in, 1 ball, 1 strike. One thing he is doing that might go beyond just a little bit of luck of coming up with those hits and the unquantifiable clutch factor is he's just striking out less, so he's given himself more of a chance to drive in runs when he got an infield drawn in or something like that. 1-1. Swing and a foul back, 1-2.
And he very much has the infield drawn in now. Now it's not just on the pull side. All 4 infielders just playing along the edge of the grass, looking for the double play here to avoid the run, obviously.
Be interesting if he hit it soft. The defender might have a decision to make. Do you try for a tag play at the plate with Okamoto or a double play ball with a speedy runner like Andres Jimenez? We'll see if he hits something a little bit in between. First and third, 1 out. And the 1-2 pitch from Jansen Junk is hit foul to the left. Still 1-2. Late swing there. Sent to sinker behind the back of Okamoto, the runner on third.
And he didn't miss it by much down the line there.
Kind of looked like he was a little bit trying to guide that third baseline. Sanoja probably playing 6 or 7 feet off the bag. 1-2 pitch again. Foul tip, strike 3. Jimenez goes down, and the Blue Jays in jeopardy of spoiling this threat from first and third, no outs. There's now 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th.
Jesus Sanchez feigned taking off there. Liam Hicks had been holding him on at first base, I think, to try to prevent taking off the double play. If Sanchez could get ahead of steam there, that won't be as necessary here now with 2 outs and Brendan Valenzuela.
Not your ideal runners to pull some sort of first and third steal trick play. Valenzuela did have a hit his first time, although it was a swinging bunt, but it still counts. Now he takes outside, ball 1. If he comes up with another base hit, it'll at least tie the game. Blue Jays hoping for that, so they try not to spoil what was a big threat to start the inning. 1-0 pitch. Smoked foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. Worth noting the Blue Jays have just not performed still with runners in scoring position this year. And I took a look going into today's game at slugging with runners in scoring position, because it's not just about hits. Sometimes you want doubles or homers. They're 27th in baseball coming into today, slugging under 350. 1-1 pitch to Valenzuela is smoked on a line to right, coming in Casey to make the catch on a hard line out hit to the wrong spot. And that will do it for the bottom of the 4th. A missed opportunity for the Blue Jays. After first and third, nobody out. They don't score and still trail 1-0 headed to the 5th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Brown Rust Control Center, streaming on the Sportsnet app and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Choose to lean into it. Every Mazda is engineered to give you effortless control.
I wake up.
In baseball, great teams know one thing. Smart defense wins championships. The same is true when it comes to protecting yourself. That's why more Americans are starting with Byrna Less Lethal. Byrna Less Lethal personal protection products are designed to stop an attacker for up to 40 minutes, giving you time to get to safety and call for help. Byrna is proudly American and hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Play smarter defense. Visit Byrna.com today. That's B-Y-R-N-A, Byrna.com. Purchase and shipping restrictions vary by state and municipality. Go to Byrna.com to check availability at your location.
First, I take a sabbatical, then do absolutely nothing.
Glorious. But what? You'd win the New York lottery, then do nothing?
Well, I'd also commission a cutting-edge mobile bed, so I never stop doing nothing, even when I leave my house.
Okay, but how can you do even less?
Well, I'll spend 6 months living with a Honduran capuchin monkey troupe to learn how to pick things up with my feet, so I never have to lift a finger again.
Oh, you'll be a hit at dinner parties. New York lottery. Can you imagine? Play today. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
My name is Jessa. One of the things I love the most about working for United Healthcare is that everybody matters. Every moment matters. There's a person behind every problem. I care because it's what I was put on this earth to do.
I'm Ben, and I work at United Healthcare. I am just one piece of a larger puzzle, but every piece matters. It's more than just work. We want to make the healthcare system better for everyone.
Network. Welcome to the Timbermart broadcast booth. Every great build starts with a solid game plan. Your local Timbermart offers professional building plans and the materials to bring them to life. From sheds, garages, tiny and dream houses, drop your next win at Timbermart, Canada's building center. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Blake Murphy, Show Ali, our host and producer, Christian Chiniti and Tom Young, our technical directors. 1-0 Marlins, and the pitch to Jacob Marcy is inside ball one. Trey Savage has allowed one base runner today. He came in to score, and despite the Blue Jays out-hitting the Marlins 5-1, it's the Marlins in front. 1-0 pitch. Swing and a miss. 1-1 strike.
Marcy not having a good time with Savage here so far. Struck out on 3 straight swinging strikes in the second inning and wasn't close on that last one.
1-1 is lifted out to center field, fairly deep. Going back, Lucas still going back to the warning track. Will make the catch in front of the fence. Nice play by Nathan Lucas, sticking with it the whole way. Bit of an exasperated look on the face of Trey Savage, who might not have been happy with that one, but he gets the out. 1 down.
Probably not happy with the location of that splitter. Not quite middle, but that's a lot of the plate. Jacob Marcy there. That's only, other than Otto Lopez's fly out to the warning track last inning, that might be the hardest hit ball he's given up.
1 out, the pitch to Javier Sanoja is smoked on a line foul into the netting left side. Actually got it a little off the end of the bat. It's 0-1. Yeah, not a lot of hard contact for the Marlins. Frankly, not that many results. It's not like they've BABIP'd their way to a lead. They only have 1 run. It's just the Blue Jays have not come through. 0-1 pitch. Splitter misses the top of the zone. 1-1 strike. The Marlins have an expected batting average in this game of 186. I actually would say maybe they've been a little bit unlucky even still. 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Splitter stayed up but ran in on the hands of the right-handed hitting Sanoja. 1-2.
And that weak contact and long-term maybe the ability to suppress expected batting average or batting average on balls in play has been one of the stories of Trey Savage's start here. Obviously a ton of swing and miss during the playoffs last year. It's been a lot of weak contact so far this year.
Right-hander with a 1-2. And it's hit on a line over the leap of Okamoto at third, and a fair ball bouncing into the corner. Sanoja's got speed. He tears around first and will cruise into second with a stand-up double. As Javier Sanoja has his 9th double, 10th extra base hit of the season.
Reaches down and gets that slider well below the zone. Not particularly hard hit, but right down the line.
I think you're comfortable with the location of that pitch if you're Trey Savage. That was way down. It was a lot closer to the dirt than it was the strike zone.
Yeah, that's your put-away pitch in a 1-2 count.
Credit to Sanoja, and he's got plenty of speed to score from second on a single. Owen Casey's up, and the pitch. Swing and a miss by the Burlington native, 0-1. Casey debuted in the majors here last year, August 14, 2025. First time he came up, smokes a liner into the gap left center, and Davis Schneider with a diving catch took away a chance at his first hit being in Toronto. Now he'll take a pitch in the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Max Scherzer on the hill for that one?
I believe so.
There's a lot of cool parts of that at-bat if Davis Schneider didn't do what he did.
Yeah.
At home, Max Scherzer.
1-1 pitch is hit well into the gap right center. This is trouble, and down for a hit, bouncing into the fence. Coming around third, Sanoha scores with ease. Owen Casey with an RBI double turns back to his dugout. It's 2-0 Marlins in the 5th. Consecutive doubles from Sanoha and Casey. More hits in this inning than the Marlins had in the rest of the game so far. And Miami's getting a little bit to Trey Savage here, as that was a fastball right down the middle.
Yeah, it was a bad time for my comment about Savage's weak contact this year. That one was very well hit, but you watch that one back, and that was 94, so on the lower end for his velocity, and it sat about as middle as it gets.
Casey on second, and Joe Mack at the plate. The pitch is grounded softly toward first. It'll hook foul 0-1.
Now, that is something Owen Casey is very, very capable of. He's got the big bat speed. He's got the big exit velocities and things like that. He leads the league in strikeout rate is what's been holding him back. But if you're looking at this Canadian prospect and wondering what it could look like, it's that ability to take even good pitchers for a ride.
0-1 to Mack is fouled back 0-2. When a lot of Canadian baseball fans saw, granted in a very different competition, some of the things Casey could do in the World Baseball Classic, he was very good for Canada. In 2026, had 3 doubles, a homer, and 5 RBIs in 5 games. He hit that homer into the flag in Canada's opening game of the tournament against Colombia. Got off to a hot start to the season, and then has had to adjust in really what's his first taste of big league action. Only played 12 games for the Cubs last year before being traded over. 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Mack goes down, and there are 2 outs.
You mentioned him getting traded over. Part of the Edward Cabrera return package. Cabrera hitting the IL this week with a finger blister, but you like the stuff for the Cubs. The Cubs are in a bit of a Jay-Z situation where a lot that could go wrong has gone wrong.
Esteori Ruiz up, 2 down, and the pitch is up and in, ball 1. Well, on Casey, sometimes you can tell the value of a player by who they get traded for. He's a good guy for that. 1-0 pitch here to Ruiz is a fastball at the knees, called strike 1-1. When your career consists of you being traded for Yu Darvish in the middle of when he's still rolling, and then Edward Cabrera, who's a big deal starting pitcher as well, that's got to do a little boost for your confidence.
You'd think so.
1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss.
I guess you could do a little bit of, and I talked to RJ Schreck about this on Jays Talk Plus recently. He felt a little bit of, well, the team that drafted me gave up on me when he got traded.
Sure.
But that can quickly turn to, well, this team was willing to trade a really good player to get me.
1-2. Down and away, 2-2. That would be Justin Turner in the case of RJ Schreck?
Justin Turner, who has taken credit publicly on social media. You're welcome, Blue Jays fans, when RJ Schreck won a game in spring training with a diving catch and a steal of home.
You know what? He played well enough to get traded. I'll give him the credit. 2-2. Grounded softly. Third base sign picked up by Okamoto. Sidearm slings to get the speedy Ruiz and end the inning. Marlins add to their lead, though. Consecutive doubles by Sanoha, and then Burlington, Ontario's Owen Casey makes it 2-0 Miami. Casey left on second, and 2-0 Marlins, middle of the 5th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Choose to lean into it. Every Mazda is engineered to give you effortless control.
Wake up.
In baseball, great teams know one thing: smart defense wins championships. The same is true when it comes to protecting yourself. That's why more Americans are starting with Byrna Less Lethal. Byrna Less Lethal personal protection products are designed to stop an attacker for up to 40 minutes, giving you time to get to safety and call for help. Byrna is proudly American and hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Play smarter defense. Visit Byrna.com today. That's B-Y-R-N-A, Byrna.com. Purchase and shipping restrictions vary by state and municipality. Go to Byrna.com to check availability at your location.
First, I take a sabbatical, then do absolutely nothing.
Glorious. But what? You'd win the New York lottery, then do nothing?
Well, I'd also commission a cutting-edge mobile bed, so I never stop doing nothing, even when I leave my house.
Okay, but how can you do even less?
Well, I'll spend 6 months living with a Honduran capuchin monkey troupe to learn how to pick things up with my feet, so I never have to lift a finger again.
Oh, you'll be a hit at dinner parties. New York lottery. Can you imagine? Play today. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Oh, hey, friends. This sale's for you. The DSW Friends and Family event is on. DSW VIP members get 25% off almost everything in stores and online for a limited time. Don't miss out. This only happens twice a year. Not a VIP? You're still family to us. Join for free to get in on the savings. Plus, VIPs always get free shipping on anything. Save on must-own shoes today when you shop the
Radio Network.
Marlins 2, Blue Jays nothing after the Owen Casey RBI double. Bottom of the fifth and a pitch to Lenine Sosa is low ball 1. This fifth inning is brought to you by Miller Lite. You can celebrate a strikeout hitter catch with great taste in 90 calories per 355 milliliter can serving. Miller Lite, the official beer sponsor of Major League Baseball in Canada, must be drinking age. Celebrate responsibly. 1-0 pitch, big rip, stumbling. It's hit back foul by Sosa. Hanging sweeper that he tried to hit out of the yard. 1-1. One home run on the season for Sosa between his time with the White Sox and the Blue Jays. He hit that one in Minnesota, and the Blue Jays Minneapolis, St. Petersburg road trip a couple weeks ago. 1-1. Foul back 1-2.
The much more important stat is we're headed toward history with the lack of walks. The walkless streak is now in triple digits.
In terms of plate appearances?
Yes. I'm very invested.
110 plate appearances live right now.
By far the most in the league.
Oh, it's not even close. 1-2. High, 2 balls, 2 strikes. I'll get you second place in a sec here. I usually have it up on a day-to-day.
I don't think it'll get broken here. Jansen Junk, one of the better pitchers at suppressing walks this year. He's all over the zone, only walks about 6% of batters. This would be an anomaly for both.
2-2. Hit foul to the right, still 2 balls, 2 strikes. Although he did, if I'm not mistaken, get to a 3-ball count. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago?
He did.
It was the 6th 3-ball count for Sosa this year. He's in a 2-ball count right now, 2-2. Right on right, the pitch from Junk. Outside ball 3. Things are getting interesting.
Here we go.
So his 110 plate appearances without a walk. First, second place is Mickey Gasper with 39 plate appearances, no walks. 3-2. Is hit on a line and down in center field. A base hit. Sosa forces his way on with the bat instead, and he's on to lead off this bottom of the fifth inning.
Who needs a walk? Reach out and do it yourself. 3-2 slider at the bottom of the zone. Would have been strike 3 if he laid off of it. Nice piece to take that back up the middle.
And we do kid, but pretty good at bat there. 7 pitches, work the full count, get one into center field to get on base to flip the lineup.
And they haven't had a ton of those today. Jansen Junk's been very pitch efficient, still at only 73 pitches here in the fifth.
George Springer to the plate, the pitch. Outside low ball 1. At times, the bullpen has not been there consistently for the Marlins. Like a lot of teams who want to get into that bullpen as quickly as possible. Especially been a bit of an up and down year for new closer Pete Fairbanks. Junk's going to step off now in relation to some signals he's going over with catcher Joe Mack.
And Fairbanks has pitched 3 of the last 4 days because the Marlins played a couple tight ones against the Mets.
1-0. Foul back 1-1.
And he was fresh off the IL as well, so not sure they'll push him for a 4th time in 5 days. They do have a couple of other guys with closing experience in Anthony Bender, Calvin Fauché.
Bender's back-to-back days. This would
There
be
you
3
go.
in a
He
row.
might be down as well. It might be a Fauché day.
And he threw 23 yesterday. He still could be up. He hadn't pitched in 4 days before that. Long story short, you'd like to get to the pen. 1-1 pitch. Called strike. Looked borderline. Might have been below the knees. Second look probably hit that bottom edge.
Right there, yeah. It's a well-located pitch.
Without the strike box, I'm telling you, these umps are a lot better. 1-2 pitch is lifted by Springer. High and fairly deep out to center, but not deep enough. Behind it goes Marcy to make the grab. 1 out. We welcome you to the Timbermart broadcast booth. Don't sit on the bench when it's time to build. With flexible financing options through the Timbermart project card, you can get started today and keep your project moving. Timbermart, Canada's building center. Runner on first, 1 out, 2-0 Marlins in the bottom of the 5th inning. And Nathan Lucas, who's 2 for 2 today, steps up for Toronto.
And has had a couple of pretty quality at-bats against Jump, getting deep into the count both times.
First pitch, called to strike 0-1. He does bring a lot of that element back. I know when you listen on the radio network to Blue Jays talk after the game, a consistent question is where is that kind of grinded out that they had last year, wear down the pitcher's identity. Not having Lucas for a while hurt their ability to do that. Step off throw to first, and Sosa got back in tight there without a slide, but he makes it back in.
Bold decision not to slide there. That was trying to tiptoe in behind Liam Hicks at first base.
Hicks, being a righty thrower, at least had a real tough swipe across your body tag, and I don't think ever touched Sosa. 0-1 to Lucas is hit foul. No balls, 2 strikes, but between Lucas and Kirk and then a compromised Springer, that's a lot of your grinded out guys.
And Bo Bichette not having a great season in New York, but that was another guy who could take a 2-strike count and grind it out to 8, 9, 10 pitches. We've seen little glimpses of that. Andres Jimenez's 11-pitch walk against Cam Schlittler stands out.
0-2 pitch inside to Lucas. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, hasn't been a part of their identity so far. One of the fewest pitches per plate appearance teams.
Very high chase team, which they were chasing at times last year, but it felt a little more controlled chasing. 1-2. Outside 2-2. That's a tough take right there from Lucas. 2-strike fastball just off the plate.
And this is interesting. The Marlins are one of the teams that will sometimes call pitches from the dugout to take that burden off of a young catcher in Joe Mack. So a lot of signaling going back and forth between the dugout and the pitcher and catcher.
2-2. Outside ball 3. To me, it somewhat sullies needing a pitch comp if you're making signals with your hands visible to the other team anyway. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. I don't.
At that point, the pitch comp has zero utility.
I have no retort. We got the pitch comp to stop with the delays from sign stealing and mixing up signals and things like that.
3-2 pitch. Runner takes off, and Lucas sprays one on a line down and left to base hit. It's hit shallow and hard, so Sosa's going to stop at second. Lucas is 3 for 3, continuing the hot streak he started before he went on the injured list. And the Blue Jays have another threat here early on in an inning. We'll see if they can cash in this time.
Well, you'd have to. Trey Savage is pitching a pretty good game. That Owen Casey double aside, he's done a good job limiting contact. It's just kind of been they've been able to get across their early inning doubles in a way that the Blue Jays haven't. And this is kind of what cost them the game yesterday as well, not being able to cash in on those opportunities.
First pitch to Yohendrick Pinango, called to strike 0-1. Blue Jays have had multiple base runners on in each of the last 3 innings. Had them with 2 outs in the 3rd, didn't score. No outs in the 4th, the biggest blemish, and didn't score. And then here 1 out, runners on 1st and 2nd. 0-1 to Pinango. Bounce to the plate, big block there by Mack. Got out of his crouch, stepped to the right to take a changeup that bounced well in front of the plate and keep it in front of him. Huge play to keep it at 1st and 2nd instead of 2nd and 3rd.
Caught that one between his glove and his chest protector to just kind of deaden it. It's a small sample, but Joe Mack, who grades really well in most areas defensively as a catcher, not a great blocker from the metrics that we have available to us, so good one there.
1-1. Fouled back by Pinango. Slider that caught a lot of the plate, 1-2.
Junk's been living on the edge a little bit with some of these breaking balls over the middle of the plate to lefty hitters. He is a huge platoon splits guy, almost 100 points of batting line over his career. Lefties are better than righties, and you see why there. Pinango didn't quite get it, but these breaking balls can hang.
First and second, and the 1-2 pitch to Yohendrick Pinango. Smoked on a line, one bounce, and into right center field. Coming around third, Sosa scores. Into third goes Nathan Lucas. RBI hit Pinango, who snuck it under the armpit of Xavier Edwards to make it 2-1. Blue Jays have cut that deficit in half. For Yohendrick Pinango, his 11th RBI on the season, and he just threaded the needle up the middle.
Gets a fastball low and in at the hands just a little bit. Pretty impressive that he was able to go up the middle with that rather than having to pull it given the location and the speed of the pitch.
Maybe didn't hit it all that on the screws, but found a way to send it back where it came from with that big hole up the middle. Now first and third, one out, and Okamoto up. Infield in for the Marlins. The pitch. Swing and a pop-up, and that will not score the runner from third. Camped under it, the first baseman Hicks backpedals and makes the grab. Almost dropped it. Although it's actually better for the Blue Jays he didn't. 2 down. If he drops that ball, he's going to turn tag Lenyn Sosa and step on first base, assuming it doesn't skip away a million yards.
Also, he was only a back step or two from tumbling over there.
That's true.
The way his balance was looking. Either way, comes down with the catch, and Jesus Sanchez with a chance to do a job here. Singled last time up.
Blue Jays still think leaving something to be desired in terms of execution with runner on third and one out, but a chance to tie the game. 2-1 Marlins, first and third, 2 down, and the first pitch to Sanchez is called to strike. Mack pops out of the crouch to take a look at the runner on first, Pinango. 0-1. Clearly, run game stuff has been a focal point. Pinango's not much of a base stealer either, and they were all over Valenzuela, who doesn't steal bases, back in the third inning.
You mentioned it earlier, the Jays right near the bottom, and this is not a situation you'd go in normally.
0-1. Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. To his credit, maybe because they're checking on him, Pinango's kind of bouncing now at first base. May as well keep you in the top of their mind if they're thinking about it.
Yeah, make them think about it, but with runners on the corners and 2 out and you down a run, other than maybe getting a decent secondary lead, Pinango's not the guy here.
1-1. Swing and a hardliner foul left side. Sanchez turns around to sweeper. It's 1-2. Another breaking ball over the middle. And it's Junk getting away with it there. The Blue Jays did not execute on that pitch.
And maybe it's the pitch count. Maybe it's seeing some of these breakers catch a lot of the plate, but a little bit of activity in the Marlins bullpen if this continues to swell on him a little bit in this inning.
Michael Peterson saw throwing. Looks like a second righty has gotten up as well. I believe that's Lake Bacher. 1-2. High, 2 balls, 2 strikes. That is Lake Bacher.
This has been the issue that Junk's run into at times, and obviously he's been very effective today, but when you're a control guy who doesn't have elite stuff, part of the reason you don't walk a lot of guys is that you're in the zone a lot, and when you throw breaking balls half the time, and those are catching the zone so much, the odd one's going to hang. The Jays just got to take advantage of one.
Blue Jays have 1 run on 8 hits. The 2-2. Foul tip, strike 3, and although they get one in this inning still, Junk strands a pair, and the Blue Jays miss an opportunity to add more. They do get on the board on 3 hits, an RBI single by Pinango. Runners left on the corners, and it's 2-1 Marlins through 5. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming on the Sportsnet app and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
From backyard diamonds to hometown ballparks, community is where the game begins. When it's time to build, repair, or bring people together, count on your locally owned Timber Mart. Proud to support the places we call home. Timber Mart, Canada's building center.
A painter and a pitcher, Blue Jays starter Dylan Cease knows something about the art of pitching.
The artist must know how and when to use their tools. A 4-seamer here, a slider there, the occasional knuckle curve. It's an expression of personal style.
I mean, this is an electric arm.
Paints the corner for strike 3. On Wednesday, June 10th, show your appreciation for the art of pitching with your very own Dylan Cease bobblehead giveaway. Where will you be?
From backyard projects to major renovations, your local Timber Mart is here to help. Whether you're a contractor or a DIY enthusiast, we provide the right materials, expert advice, and trusted guidance to get your projects done right. Timber Mart, Canada's building center.
Your bed affects everything. How you sleep, how your back feels, even how patient you are with each other by the end of the week. That's why more couples are switching to a Leva Sleep adjustable bed. Less tossing, less snoring, less waking each other up all night. This is what a better bed feels like. And during Leva Sleep's Friends and Family Sale, save up to 65% off adjustable bed packages. But the event ends Wednesday. Visit levasleep.com or one of our 6 showrooms before it's over. Leva Sleep, the better bed.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Springer charges the ball to left field. It's in the seats, and the Blue Jays are on the board.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Blue Jays get a run on a Pinyango RBI single, but still trail it to the Marlins. 2-1 is the score as we start the 6th. And a first pitch misses to Xavier Edwards, ball 1. 2-1 Marlins, top of the Miami order. Edwards, Hicks, Lopez this inning against Trey Savage, who's given up 2 runs in 5 innings. 1-0 pitch is flipped in the air left center. Moving over to the gap, Pinyango races there to make the catch over his right shoulder, and there's 1 out. Blue Jays haven't come through with runners in scoring position today, but another thing that has slightly been the difference in this game, the Marlins, despite being out hit 8-3, well, all 3 of their hits are extra base hits. The Blue Jays have 8 hits, all 8 are singles, which is requiring them to hit probably 3 singles in an inning to score a run, whereas 2 doubles can do it for the Marlins. First pitch to Hicks is low, ball 1.
The Jays also haven't done much with productive outs. A couple of infield flies when they've had traffic on the base pass, whereas that Xavier Edwards double that led off the game, he moved over on a grounder.
A Hicks grounder, and Hicks takes low, ball 2.
And then scored on an Otto Lopez sac fly.
And so all that has the Blue Jays trailing right now, 2-1, even though it feels like they've been the team on the front foot here. 1 out, base is empty, top of the 6th. 2-0 pitch. Hicks takes upstairs, ball 3. This 6th inning is brought to you by Miller Lite. When the moment calls for it, why not celebrate a win with the official beer sponsor of Major League Baseball in Canada? Must be legal drinking age. Celebrate responsibly. 3-0 pitch. Hicks will take high and outside, ball 4. And the second-year catcher walks down to first. First walk for Savage. Kind of lost it there for a moment. A couple big misses.
Yeah, not particularly close. Even went to the fastball 3-0 there to try to get one over. That hasn't been a story for most of this game at all. He's been in the zone pretty well.
Entered this inning on 63 pitches through 5 innings. That's a great pace. That's somewhere between 12 and 13. First pitch to Otto Lopez is down and in, ball 1. Lopez is a guy you can get on the ground for a potential double play ball, although he's got good speed. Runner on first, 1 out. 2-1 Marlins in the top of the 6th. And that last pitch for Savage was his 70th. Right-handers 1-0. Is hit high, shallow right, moving forward Sanchez. He'll make the grab, 2 down. And with that, let's quickly go to the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard. You had mentioned Bo Bichette last inning. He had 3 hits today, by the way. He's heating up, although the Mets lost 7-2 to Cincinnati. But the Yankees were the New York team I was going to mention because they played a back-and-forth contest with Kansas City. Bobby Witt Jr. with a go-ahead home run in the 8th inning. Sets up a safe situation for Kansas City in the 9th. But Lucas Ursack cannot lock it down as the Yankees got a pair in the 9th on an Anthony Volpe 2-run single to win the game. 2 outs. The pitch to Kyle Stowers is popped up back of the shortstop Jimenez. He gives way to Pinyango, slides and the ball's off his foot and down in shallow left center. Coming around third, Hicks in to score. That'll go as a misplayed double to bring in a run. And it's 3-1 Marlins on Kyle Stowers' shallow fly ball.
Trey Savage should have been out of this inning. That's a very playable Jimenez and Pinyango, who have had a couple of miscommunications of late. Jimenez tails off that one and gives way to Pinyango, who just comes up a little short of it.
It is the second time in the last 6 or 7 games where you're just looking for Piñango to be a bit more forceful on a ball in between him and the infielder. Those are more than likely the outfielder's balls. It's a much easier play, but he kind of slowed up, assuming Jimenez running back would take it. Runner on second, 2 down, and the pitch to Marcy is low ball 1, and that'll go as a hit. For Savage individually, it hurts his numbers, and for the Blue Jays overall, they really had to grind to get their first run, and now they're right back where they started, trailing by 2. Jacob Marcy up, 1-0 count, runner on second. And the pitch. Down and in, 2 balls, no strikes.
And that'll be something to continue to monitor with Piñango. He's obviously been a very nice story at the plate since getting come up. But one of the reasons, when you talk to people around the league, that he was left unprotected and then unselected in the Rule 5 draft is whether he can stick at a position.
2-0 pitch called to strike 2-1.
The reports from Buffalo early this year were pretty positive about the developments he'd made in the corner, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be without mistakes, and we've seen a couple now, especially coming in.
2-1 pitch is just outside. Brandon Valenzuela doesn't think so. He'll use an ABS challenge brought to you by X-Copper. Find yourself with a legal challenge. Canada's leader in legal services are here to help. The team at X-Copper are client-focused and work on your behalf to protect your rights. Don't plead guilty. Go to xcopper.com. That'll be a miss of a challenge by 0.3 of an inch. So the Blue Jays down to 1 challenge left, and it's a 3-1 count to Marcy. '77th pitch for Savage is fouled away, and the bat is going into the first base dugout. It ricochets off the netting and thankfully kind of trampolined back onto the field instead of going down into the dugout or camera well. Marcy lost his thumb guard and his bat, flipping high off the netting near the first base side dugout.
I know Savage's slider is pretty tricky with the counterintuitive movement profile on it. I don't know if it's launch your bat into the 8th row tricky.
Thankfully, for the last, 8 years, 9 years, there's been netting there previously. And hopefully it would have been a good souvenir, but might have been a projectile headed in to the seats. Now time will be asked for by Marcy.
Nowadays, if you want to bat, you have to catch Esmeralyn Valdez's first career home run and then barter for it.
Get on the phone. Runner on second, and the 3-2 pitch is low ball 4, and a walk to Marcy. Not the implication that we first came up with, but another implication of that Stowers double, I guess it's a double, that dropped into shallow left. Now you've made Trey Savage throw 6 more pitches already, not to mention Sanoha coming up here, who can be a bit of a tough guy to finish off as well. So you might end up throwing 10 or more pitches. That might cut down a full inning of your start.
In an inning when his command already wasn't where it was earlier in the game, whether that's some fatigue or he's just lost the touch on the fastball a little bit. Bad timing for that. They'll take a mound visit here to let him talk things over and maybe get a quick breather. But you're right, heading into a bullpen day tomorrow as well, even if Spencer Miles is going to handle some of the bulk of that, you might have to use another reliever today that you otherwise wouldn't have heading into that bullpen day tomorrow because of that misplay in left field and the kind of snowball from there.
Pete Walker ran back to the Blue Jay third base side dugout. Now Brandon Valenzuela in the crouch behind home plate after giving signals to his defense. First and second, 2 down, 3-1 Marlins. Javier Sanoha up. And the pitch. Fastball just inside ball 1. You also, again, I'm not trying to pile everything on, but you also used an ABS challenge that would not have been initiated had the inning not continued. A very consequential play potentially. 1-0 is popped up by Sanoha, shallow right toward the line. Sanchez moving over, will run out of space. That one's into club 328. Actually pinballs back out of it. It's 1 ball, 1 strike.
So a big butterfly effect there on the pitching side, on the challenge side. And then maybe more to the point with the way this thing is gone is the Jays might just struggle to put 2 more across the way things are going.
Does look like they'll get a member of the Marlins bullpen more than likely coming up in the bottom of the 6th. Pitch to Sanoha, big wave and a miss, and Savage gets ahead 1-2.
And Junk at 93 pitches, so probably take the 1 run over 5 on 8 hits pretty happily, given how his last 2 starts had gone. Maybe not as sharp in terms of contact as he would like, but you'll take the results if you're Jansen Junk and the Marlins.
Yeah, if you give up 15 runs in your previous 2, any good start is a good start. 1-2 pitch to Javier Sanoja. And a fastball is hit on the ground, foul. Still 1-2. Lake Bacher, the right-hander, looks pretty much ready in the Marlins pen whenever this inning comes to a close. 3-1 Miami, 2 on, 2 out, and the 1-2 is hit on a line to left field. Freezing Pinango backpedals. It's over his head and down on the warning track. Coming around third base, Stowers in to score. Getting the wave around third as well is Marcy as the throw goes into second. And a 2-run double on another misplay in left field has made it 5-1 Marlins.
And admittedly, that's a tough one, a line drive that looks like it's right at you. You ask any outfielder, that's kind of the toughest ball to have, but Pinango misreads that, can't get to it in time, and this is now getting away from them a little bit.
For Sanoja, his second double of the game, now 10 on the year. He gets RBIs 19 and 20 on the season. Pitch now to Owen Casey. Check swing, pitch outside, appeal down to third. He did go. It's 0-1.
And you're now looking at a scenario where not only have you cut an inning off from Trey Savage, but this might be it for him. He's up into the 80s for pitches. This has been a very laboring inning for him.
0-1. Down and away, 1 ball, 1 strike. Yeah, it's a real shame. I mean, it should have been a scoreless inning. Mistakes happen, but he should have been out of this inning 3 batters ago in a 2-1 game.
And 3 runs ago.
Yeah. Now 5-1 Marlins. 1-1 is in the dirt, blocked by Valenzuela. 2 balls and a strike. Technically, 5 doubles in the game now for the Marlins, all 5 of their hits. Although the last 2 would not have been doubles in most situations.
Well, if you've ever wondered why we've moved away from errors as the only evaluation of defense and why we have these new metrics, or while I'll reference something like fielding independent pitching, this inning's a good example why.
2-1 is hit high in the air by Casey. Medium depth center. Lucas looks like he's fighting the sky a little, but he'll make the grab. And that's it for the inning. 3 runs on technically 2 hits, 1 left on base, and a 5-1 Marlins lead, middle of the 6th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Choose to lean into it. Every Mazda is engineered to give you effortless control.
I wake up.
In baseball, great teams know one thing. Smart defense wins championships. The same is true when it comes to protecting yourself. That's why more Americans are starting with Byrna Less Lethal. Byrna Less Lethal personal protection products are designed to stop an attacker for up to 40 minutes, giving you time to get to safety and call for help. Byrna is proudly American and hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Play smarter defense. Visit Byrna.com today. That's B-Y-R-N-A, Byrna.com. Purchase and shipping restrictions vary by state and municipality. Go to Byrna.com to check availability at your location.
Are you ready to round the bases with Base Balderdash? Today's phrase is Texas Leaguer. Do you know what it means? Texas Leaguer, a bloop that falls between an infielder and an outfielder for a base hit.
It's an RBI single for Breckman on a little Texas Leaguer, and the Astros lead 2-0.
Expand your vocabulary with the MLB app and MLB.com.
First, I take a sabbatical, then do absolutely nothing.
Glorious. But what? You'd win the New York lottery, then do nothing?
Well, I'd also commission a cutting-edge mobile bed, so I never stop doing nothing, even when I leave my house.
Okay, but how can you do even less?
Well, I'll spend 6 months living with a Honduran Capuchin monkey troupe to learn how to pick things up with my feet, so I never have to lift a finger again.
Oh, you'll be a hit at dinner parties. New York lottery.
Radio Network.
Couple of misplays by the Blue Jays and a 5-1 lead now for the Miami Marlins, headed to the bottom of the 6th inning. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Blake Murphy. First pitching change of the game. It's brought to you by Home Hardware, the official home improvement retailer for the Toronto Blue Jays. Locally owned, genuinely Canadian, long-haired, mustache and beard-wearing right-hander Lake Bacher is in facing Ernie Clement. Right-hander kicks and deals, and Clement will take a fastball high, ball one, as Bacher begins his 16th outing in the year, 25 1/3 innings to an ERA below 3, over a strikeout in inning, and a whip below 1. Bacher's 1-0. Breaking ball spins in for a strike, 1-1.
Pretty good results so far, but a look that you could probably best classify as 1990s WCW enhancement talent.
Nice. 1-1 pitch. Low, check swing, appeal first, no swings is Gabe Morales. 2 balls, 1 strike. I was thinking like drummer for the band America.
There you go.
Maybe the hair's a little too long for that. 2-1. And Clement drives it high in the air, deep left field. Going back, Ruiz, running out of room at the wall. It's gone! Clement leads off the bottom of the 6th with a home run, his 4th of the year. And maybe the Blue Jays are ready to punch back. It's 5-2 for the Marlins. Bottom of the 6th inning.
Not unlike a recent Ernie Clement one that just kept traveling to the pull side. Couldn't quite tell if it had the legs until it got over. Ruiz was certainly tripped up by it, changing direction a couple times, but the Jays answer back.
First pitch now to Andres Jimenez, called to strike 0-1. And Ruiz, I mean, he thought he had a play there. He hit into that wall rather than felt for that wall and realized where he was. 0-1 to Jimenez is chopped to the right side of the infield, backhanded by the first baseman Hicks. He'll take 2 steps and underhand flip to the covering Bacher. So there's 1 out now in Bacher's first inning of work here at the bottom of the 6th. Clement, though, as hot really as any Blue Jay, and with the relative lack of home run power for the Blue Jays this year, his 4 home runs is starting to get up there on the roster.
Among the league leaders in doubles as well. So for a guy who's been, a batting average driven guy for a lot of his career, now starting to show some slug.
1 out, and the pitch to Brandon Valenzuela, hit foul to the left, 0-1. We're in the bottom of the 6th, and the Blue Jays trailing 5-1 to the Miami Marlins. Or 5-2 after Ernie Clement's home run. But yeah, Ernie tied with Matt Olson, 17 doubles, the most in baseball. Very similar players, many people say. Ernie Clement and Matt Olson. 0-1 pitch inside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Certainly defensively.
Well, and not actually at all, except that maybe the Athletics wish they still had both of them right now, if possible.
Great pull.
Well, maybe they don't. Nick Kurtz is at first base. They're doing fine.
Yeah, and Brent Rooker DHs a lot, and Shea Langoliers.
1-1 pitch in the dirt, 2-1.
I'll take more hitters than less.
Than
fewer.
I wasn't going to correct your English, don't worry.
Someone out there would. I've got some old English teacher listening.
5-2 Marlins, 1 out, bottom of the 6th. The 2-1 to Valenzuela is outside, ball 3. Well, speaking of the A's, although not technically the A's, let's go to the St. Louis Bar and Grill Out of Town scoreboard quickly. Bit of a crazy one going on. Not on my bingo card for tonight. What Tatsuya Imai is doing right now for Houston. 3-1 pitch. Hit back foul, and it'll go over our heads. Thought I had to play there for a sec. 3-2. Imai, who's struggled immensely coming over from NBP, has an unconvincing but legitimate 6 no-hit innings tonight. Only 2 Ks, and he's walked 4. He's almost certainly coming out of the game after his 6th inning because he's thrown 97 pitches. But no hits, no runs through 6.
4 walks. Edwin Jackson, eat your heart out.
Out-dueled Kumar Rocker. And Houston leading 4-0 in Texas, or in Arlington, in an all-Texas matchup. 3-2 is swung on and missed by Valenzuela, strike 3. He goes down, and there's 2 outs here. Blue Jays still trailing 5-2 in the bottom of the 6th.
Imai is a guy who's actually come up for me a couple times this year because, as we talked about Kazuma Okamoto's transition from Japan and some of the areas where he's had to learn that, he would come up. He's also the only pitcher that has a slider that moves backwards more than Trey Savage's.
2 outs in the pitch to Lenine Sosa, called to strike 0-1. Imai's been quite vocal about some of the ups and downs he's had, trying to make the transition as a person and a professional over from Japan. Lenine Sosa now asks for time and steps back out of the box.
It sounds like Okamoto's have been more about pitching and in the box and how he's getting attacked by opposing teams and how they're countering his hot streak. Imai, it's as much off the field as on.
0-1. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Sosa, who's got a base hit and a run scored today, in a no-ball, 2-strike hole. All of our out-of-town scores and news brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. Also, last I looked, Carolina Hurricanes leading the Montreal Canadiens in Game 3, 2-1. 0-2 pitch, just outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. You can catch the NHL or the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sportsnet.
I wonder if Chris LaRue's got that up on a second screen over on Blue Jay Central.
Probably hiding his phone, streaming it in his fancy suit jacket. 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out on a curveball over the middle to end the inning. Lake Bacher bounces back after Ernie Clement's solo home run to lead off the inning, and it's 5-2 for the Marlins, headed to the 7th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming on the Sportsnet app and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Did you know spring's the best time of year to protect your vehicle from rust? For a special spring offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
For the last 30 years, Capital One has been there for over 4 million Canadians. 30 years of giving credit and helping people reach the milestones that matter. Because we know when you're given the chance, you can do something great. Whether it's that lease on a new car, a place with more space, or just the feeling that comes with making your daughter's birthday the best one yet. With Capital One, this is just the start. Learn more at CapitalOne.ca.
Over 50 seasons, Blue Jays fans have shown a lot of love and even more pride. Pride in our city, pride in our community, pride in our team.
And what a night it was. The vibes are immaculate.
On Friday, June 5th, join us at Rogers Center for Pride Night, presented by TD. Arrive early and get a City Connect Pride hat giveaway. Where will you be?
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
That ball's gone. Okamoto takes a trip to the WestJet flight deck.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
It's the 7th inning, and it's brought to you by Capital One. Capital One giving credit to over 4 million Canadians and counting. 5-2 Marlins lead. Trey Savage for 7th inning of work deals home to Joe Mack, and the pitch is low ball 1 to the Marlins catcher. Savage, if you're just joining us, yes, has technically given up 5 earned runs, but it's a very soft 5 earned runs. 1-0 pitch. Called strike 1-1. 2 plays that are called doubles because they were misplayed enough that they could not be errors in the outfield, caused 3 runs to score. You couldn't call either play an error, but you really don't like seeing that on Savage's line as the 1-1 pitch is skied high and foul behind the plate, 1-2.
For context, the Kyle Stowers one only had an expected batting average of $160, so less frequently than 1 in 5 of those are going to drop in. The Sanoa one was $430, so a little bit more. But again, Nyong'o was positioned well for it. This is why these things are imperfect, of course.
There's still no defensive stat I love. The 1-2 is grounded just over the mound up the middle, cutting across second. Jimenez gloves, and Andres Jimenez throws to first to Lenin Sosa. 1 out.
Not to lose my analytics guy card, but yeah, the only defensive stat I love is he slick with it? When I watch, does he look real smooth?
Well, that's Andres Jimenez to start the year. Some of the metrics didn't like him. They've rebounded. I mean, he's Andres Jimenez. He's good defensively.
You also need a pretty big sample size. Like, even top defenders can be noisy year to year. Otto Lopez and Ernie Clement, 2 good examples of guys who are swinging year to year.
Esteury Ruiz swings at the first pitch he sees, pops it back foul into the seats, 0-1. 5-2 lead, Marlins over the Blue Jays. 1 out, bases empty, top of the 7th. After Ruiz hits, we can take a look at the standings watch, presented by Bet365. 0-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Good splitter from Savage, 0-2. And it is a shame because team matters more to Trey than even his individual numbers for himself, but he pitched well enough today to have another really, really good start.
He's got 17 swing and miss on the day, which is a great number, right around where you expect Savage. There was very little hard contact until that 6th inning.
0-2. Check swing pitch down and in, appeal to first base, and he did not ghost Gabe Morales. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I should say until the 5th inning. Owen Casey's double, that was an RBI double, was fairly well hit, but he was cruising. He had at one point retired 13 batters in a row.
1-2 pitch. Foul back. And that Stowers 160 expected batting average double that you mentioned, that bloop that really just comes down to a miscommunication in shallow left field rather than even well placed. It was just two guys not understanding what the other was doing. That should end the inning at 6 innings, 2 earned runs, and he still probably had about 70-ish pitches at that point. 1-2. Outside 2-2. To be exact, I don't have it for you right now. I'll get it to you in a moment. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of high 60s, low 70s at that point. 2-2 to Ruiz in the dirt ball 3.
And it's put him in a situation where if this isn't his last batter, he's definitely only got one more before you turn over to the lefty part of the Marlins lineup with Mason Fluharty up in the pen.
And it's good that he pitched so well before all this happened, so Savage, even with weathering the storm of the 6th inning, can go into the 7th. Here's his 98th pitch of the day, a payoff pitch that's hit well on a line left center. Lucas on the run, chases it down and makes the grab. Looked a little harder hit off the bat than it was. That was off the end of the bat with a fastball delivered to the outside edge, and there are 2 down.
Ruiz, not a guy you expect to put a sting in the ball all that often, so even 90-92 off his bat raises the eyebrows a little bit, and that'll be it, I think.
Trey Savage with a worthy applause. Even if the box score is a bit ugly, he was far better than that today. He'll exit with 2 outs in the top of the 7th. Base is empty in a 5-2 Marlins lead. This pitching change is brought to you by Home Hardware, the official home improvement retailer for the Toronto Blue Jays. Locally owned, genuinely Canadian. Mason Fluharty about to enter. Let's go back to today's host. Here's Show Ali.
Thanks, Ben. Let's check in on the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard. We'll check in over in the Stanley Cup playoffs. 1 game on tonight, the 3rd round continuing. We have Hurricanes at Canadiens tonight at Centre Bell in Montreal. Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. This series entered play 1 game apiece. Right now, 2-1 Hurricanes. This game is in the first period intermission. Taylor Hall and Shane Gostisbehere for Carolina. Mike Matheson for the Habs. You can watch the game on Sportsnet and the CBC as usual. Last night, we got a wild comeback from the Vegas Golden Knights. They were down 3-0 to the Colorado Avalanche. Mark Stone got an avalanche of his own, started with a goal 19 seconds into the 3rd period. Vegas would score 5 straight goals on their way to a 5-3 win. They now have a commanding 3-0 lead in the Western Conference Finals. If you're curious, teams up 3-0 in best-of-7 series have won 98% of the time. And further to that, with the win, the Golden Knights became the 50th team in the history of the Stanley Cup playoffs take a 3-0 series lead in the round prior to the Stanley Cup final. All of those previous teams went on to advance to the Cup final, with 47 of those previous 49 concluding in 6 games or fewer. Game 4, a potential deciding Game 4, will go tomorrow night in Vegas, of course, on Sportsnet and the CBC. 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific is the time of puck drop. Blue Jays baseball, as always, brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Let's get you back to the action down at the Rogers Center. Here's Ben Schulman and Blake Murphy.
Thank you very much. Show into the game for the Blue Jays, Mason Fluharty, his 28th appearance of the year. Left-hander with an ERA a shade below 5 and 18 2/3 innings pitched and 25 Ks on the year. He goes left and right with Xavier Edwards in the pitch. Is called to strike 0-1. The Blue Jays turn around Edwards, the switch hitter. He'll bat from the right side for the first time in this game after batting lefty the first 3 times.
For Mason Fluharty, this now puts him into sole possession of first for appearances in the majors.
0-1 in the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. He's also a guy who, even on days he hasn't pitched, has gotten up a lot at times this year. And they've needed more of him because their lefty plants have been a little scattered from what they went into the year with, to say the least. 1-1 pitch to Edwards. is hit back foul 1-2.
Brendan Little obviously in AAA with Buffalo. That's been pretty up and down for him, even though the ERA looks okay. Joe Mantiply, who was the backup plan, is now on the injured list. So Adamaco is now the second lefty in the bullpen.
And Mantiply had actually come in and performed quite well for the Blue Jays, although I think they would all, in the front office or with the Blue Jays staff admit, ceiling is higher for Little. You're using Mantiply more as your second lefty, forcing Fluharty into higher leverage situations because of that. 1-2. Low 2-2. Although they did start using Mantiply in a bit more leverage, unfortunately, right before he got injured. He had earned his way into that and then went on the IL.
And that opened them up to use Mason Fluharty as an opener ahead of Spencer Miles one time. Having a couple lefties you trust obviously opens up a lot.
2-2. Hit on the ground, foul.
If you're looking at Fluharty's ERA and wondering if the workload's maybe having an impact on the performance, he does have a 4.82 ERA, but he's an underlying stats darling so far this year. Everything we can see underneath the ERA suggests he's been very good and worthy of the leverage situations Toronto's been giving him. Just needs the results themselves to come around.
Both of his big league seasons so far, his actual earned run averages have been way above of his expected earned run averages. And part of why the expected is so low, he gets a lot of weak contact when the ball is put in play. And first you got to hit it, which is hard off him too. 2-2. Called strike 3. Backdoor sweeper freezes Edwards. That'll do it for the top of the 7th. Fluharty and Yasavage combined to set down the Marlins in order, but the Blue Jays have work to do. At the 7th inning stretch, they trail it 5-2. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Protect your waste and recycling equipment from costly repairs. With a custom maintenance plan, optimize your waste system performance and longevity with Metro Compactor Service. They've got you covered coast to coast with the largest service fleet in Canada. Their innovative iSmart technology can remotely diagnose, troubleshoot, and monitor equipment health in real time. For on-demand or proactive service, sales, rentals, and extended warranties for all your waste equipment, visit metrocompactor.com. metrocompactor.com.
Not tomorrow, not someday. Start your home improvement project today. It's game on with your local Timber Mart. Build that deck, raise that fence, transform your space. Get the quality materials you need and the expert support you trust. Plus, buy now, pay later with your Timber Mart project card. Financing provided by Fairstone Financial Inc. Conditions apply. So you can start now and pay over time. Visit timbermart.ca for details. Timber Mart, Canada's building center.
Heard of Uline? You know, the have-it-all in-stock, ready-to-deliver shipping and industrial supply specialists. The company that does things for you that are unheard of, like keeping 41,000 items in stock in our own warehouses, with customer service reps on the line to get you what you need when you need it 24/7, 365 every time. Maybe you heard it here first. Want to hear more? Visit uline.ca. ULINE, your shipping and industrial supply specialists.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
The 0-2 pitch. Fastball, strike 3 looking.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Blue Jays still trailing at 5-2. Welcome back to Rogers Center. Sun setting, sky darkening in downtown Toronto as Lake Bacher offers to George Springer and starts him with a strike to begin this bottom of the 7th. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Blake Murphy. Show Ali, our host and producer. Christian Chiniti and Tom Young, our technical directors. The 0-1. In the dirt, 1 ball, 1 strike. This inning, we'll take a look at the standings watch. Also notable, we just got a look from the Sportsnet TV broadcast. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. grabbing a helmet in the Blue Jay dugout. So it looks like, after all, he is available potentially to pinch hit. 1-1. Swing and a miss. Tight sliders. Springer swings over top of it at 1-2.
Worthwhile to have Vlad put that helmet on, at least to make Clayton McCullough, the Marlins manager, start thinking through his bullpen usage from here with a big lefty pocket coming up for the Jays.
1-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. He gets Springer on his slider. That's Bacher's 3rd strikeout in 5 batters faced. Bushbacher to a second inning of work right now. And with Nathan Lucas coming up, Clayton McCullough is going to make a pitching change. Brought to you by Home Hardware, the official home improvement retailer for the Toronto Blue Jays. Locally owned, genuinely Canadian. With that, and the Blue Jays trailing 5-2, one out, bases empty, bottom 7. We go back to today's host. Here's Show Ali.
Thanks, Ben. Let's keep checking on that St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard over in the NBA playoff action. One game on tonight over in the Eastern Conference Finals. We have a potential clincher here tonight. Game 4 between the Knicks and Cavaliers. Knicks entering play with a 3-0 series lead, a lead that no team in NBA playoff history has ever blown. And not to jinx things, doesn't look like it's going to be happening tonight. The Knicks are currently ahead with 2 minutes to go in the first half, 64-43. So it is all Knicks so far in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Last night, we had a 103-83 Spurs win over the Thunder in Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals. That series now tied at 2 games apiece. The first time all season that this Thunder team had been held below 90 points, and it was the second lowest postseason total in franchise history for the defending champs. Game 5 will go in Oklahoma City on Tuesday. That's tomorrow, followed by a potential clincher in Game 6 on Thursday in San Antonio. We also got some news from Canada Soccer today. The organization has announced they have extended head coach Jesse Marsh to a 4-year extension that will keep him in charge of the men's team through the 2030 FIFA World Cup. Of course, we'll see what Marsh has in store for the country in just a few weeks when the World Cup begins in the first couple days of June. Blue Jays baseball, as always, brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Let's get back to the action. Here's Ben Schulman and Blake Murphy.
Thank you very much, Joe. Into the game for the Marlins, the southpaw reliever Andrew Nardi takes over. 5-2 Marlins lead. Bottom of the 7th inning. 1 out, and Nathan Lucas coming up, who's been the most effective Blue Jays hitter in this game, 3 for 3 in his return from a hamstring injury. And boy, have they been glad to have Lucas back. We'll see if he can start a rally now as the Blue Jays look to come back in this game. Nardi's 24th outing, ERA of 5.23, whip of 1.5. Bearded, curly-haired left-hander. Comes set at his stomach. The kick and the pitch. Called strike. We will get to that standings watch at some point, but pitching changes just keep flying in.
Well, you structure your batting order with 3 lefties in a 4-batter pocket. You're going to invite that from the opposing manager. We'll see how the bench gets used.
0-1. Swing and a miss, 0-2. It does look like Piñango will bat. He's on deck, and so this might have been a nice pocket for Clayton McCullough to carve out here. As Nardi, if he gets the first 2 batters, could then be lifted with the inning break. 0-2. Outside. Couldn't get Lucas to chase a sweeper way off the plate, ball 1.
And you wonder then if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. putting on a helmet is a situation where it was gamesmanship between Schneider and McCullough, who go way, way back, or if they would only use that if there's a leverage situation, a runner gets on.
1-2. Fouled back, still 1-2. See, I mean, if you look at it, so if you're not hitting for Lucas or Piñango, let's say both of them reach. You're not going to hit for Okamoto, the right-handed hitter. So then your first spot to use Vlad would be Jesus Sanchez. I mean, maybe to get your helmet on, but that is Vlad really planning ahead, 4 spots ahead.
The other argument would...
1-2. And he hit him in the head. Lucas down immediately. Nardi lost a fastball and got Lucas in the back of the head. He's slowly up to his feet. John Schneider and Jose Ministral race out there. Good to see Lucas immediately still on his feet in his own power. But that was right to the back of the head, it appeared, with a 94-mile-an-hour sinker. And you could see Nardi distraught. Camera shot of Lucas shows him smiling right now, which can't be the worst sign.
The Marlins bench up, taking a look as well. But, yeah, you mentioned Nardi looking a little shaken up there. Obviously, in this game situation, you're not trying to ride it inside too much, but he seems as concerned about Nathan Lucas as anyone.
I think it might have at least got the bill of the helmet a little bit which is hugely positive. Still, it is not good to take 94 to the head, but maybe some of that helmet spinning and flying off took some of the momentum. Jose Ministral looking into the eyes of Lucas, likely doing some preliminary concussion testing on him right now. Lucas is going to start the walk to first. Ministral still walking with him. I'm not sure they've given the okay yet. Maybe they want to see how Lucas feels as he gets into a bit of a jog toward first. This is a guy who's dealt with vertigo this year, then a hamstring issue. Blue Jays already had Addison Barger get injured the day he came off the IL, and the day they put Cease on the IL. Lucas is struck in the head on his first game back. Also some concern, I will say, hopefully Nick Lentz is all right. That ball deflected off Lucas's head and went flush into Lentz's upper body. It looks like Lucas is going to remain in the game.
And the Marlins are doing a mound visit here, too, and I wonder how much of that is to give Nardi a second to just collect himself, because he looked very concerned there. Obviously, he can't come out of the game at this point after just coming in, but he looked pretty worried about Lucas, so they get him a little mental breather there as well.
Like you said, obviously not even close to any intention there from the left-hander, Nardi. But a dangerous miss. Thankfully, Nathan Lucas remains in, and the Blue Jays do have a base runner with one out in this bottom of the seventh.
And so not even with a runner on will they go to a pinch hitter here. Piñango will stay in lefty-lefty. Now, there'll be more opportunities in the 8th and the 9th, but you wonder if you'll get another opportunity as good as this one.
5-2 Marlins, one out, and Lucas takes his lead off first. Bottom of the 7th inning. The pitch to Piñango. Low ball one.
In addition to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. being a maybe to pinch hit, and he's up on the first step of the dugout right now, by the way, this is where Davis Schneider, being a righty who got optioned today to make room for Lucas, you do start to see some of the flexibility as you play through these scenarios.
1-0. Swing and a foul back, 1-1, or the lack thereof, as the Blue Jays do not have, even on a day where they have Vladdy on the bench, so you have a built-in extra righty, they do not have the extra flexibility. Should mention, too, Andrew Nardi made a signal, a little motion to Lucas, got in conversation with him on first to apologize.
Miles Straw, the only other righty on the bench. Tyler Heineman, a switch hitter.
The 1-1. Swing and a miss. Piñango behind 94, 1-2. And you say, to a certain extent this is true. They play a lot of righties coming up. That doesn't change the number of outfield spots. There were 3 outfield spots, and George Springer's not a platoon player. He DHs righty or lefty. Still only have 3 outfield spots to fill, as the 1-2 is lifted deep down the left field line, but it'll slice into the seats, foul out of play.
And there are 3 lefties in the outfield today with Dalton Varsho on the bench. So even against a righty with monster platoon splits, and Jansen Junk is one of those, one of the lefty outfielders is going to be on the bench game to game.
And they still don't have Barger back. It's a complicated situation, but with the way Piñango's hit, probably hard to do anything but keep him. 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. He goes down on the sweeper, and there are 2 outs.
Barger, by the way, the hope had been that he would start throwing and hitting a little bit on the weekend. John Schneider telling us before the game he's still a couple days away from that. So initially it had looked like maybe it would be the minimum IL stint with that elbow irritation and inflammation, but going to be a little bit longer for him. And at this point, you probably need rehab games as well.
Runner on first base, 2 down, and the pitch to Kazuma Okamoto called a strike, 0-1. 5-2 Marlins lead, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. swinging on deck, so if Okamoto reaches, Vlad will come up as a tying run.
That would be Jesus Sanchez's spot in the order.
0-1 pitch. Tapper back toward the mound. Nardi off the hill to field it. Turns long underhand flip, and Hicks just barely stays on the bag, stretching out to get that one and end the inning. No runs, no hits, 1 left for the Blue Jays. On to the 8th we go. It's 5-2 Miami. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming on the Sportsnet app and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Choose to lean into it. Every Mazda is engineered to give you effortless control.
I wake up.
In baseball, great teams know one thing. Smart defense wins championships. The same is true when it comes to protecting yourself. That's why more Americans are starting with Byrna Less Lethal. Byrna Less Lethal personal protection products are designed to stop an attacker for up to 40 minutes, giving you time to get to safety and call for help. Byrna is proudly American and hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Play smarter defense. Visit Byrna.com today. That's B-Y-R-N-A, Byrna.com. Purchase and shipping restrictions vary by state and municipality. Go to Byrna.com to check availability at your location.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask
Radio Network.
Top of the 8th and a pitching change for the Blue Jays. They trail it 5-2. They'll change it over to Tyler Rogers in a pitching change brought to you by Home Hardware, the official home improvement retailer for the Toronto Blue Jays. Locally owned, genuinely Canadian, a rare outing here where Rogers will pitch with the Blue Jays trailing by multiple runs. It's his first outing, though, since Thursday the 21st. Due for some action. He'll deal home now to Liam Hicks, and it's inside ball 1.
Looked like Fluharty had been brought in not just to close out that 7th inning, but with a lefty pocket of the order ahead, only threw 6 pitches.
Next pitch is called a strike. 1-1. Maybe it's a case where, now this is odd because Rogers is high leverage, but because you didn't get closer, you pull the plug on Fluharty, keep him fresher for tomorrow. 1-1. Deemed outside, 2 balls, 1 strike. Just a guess, though.
I think that's a pretty good guess. Given the amount of lefties that the Marlins start on an average day, they'll be planning the lineup for Spencer Miles, probably.
2-1 pitch is grounded off the legs of Rogers to flex to the third base side. He's got no play. He'll spike the ball into the turf in frustration. That ball almost snuck through the 5-hole and ricocheted off of his leg for an infield hit by Liam Hicks. The Canadian has his first hit of the game. It's a kind of a pad save. He put his right knee down and it went off the side of his right leg almost towards his calf. Which those types of hits will happen with Rogers. His first pitch now to Otto Lopez, called a strike 0-1.
Adventure of a day for pitchers fielding the ball today. You Savage early in the game with that kind of circus juggle over to first. We saw Andrew Nardi almost throw one away, underhand last inning.
0-1. Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Hicks has 1 stolen base on the year, the runner on first. Nobody out, and the 1-1 pitch is down and in 2-1. All right, I got to get to the standings watch or I'll never get there. It's presented by Bet365, home of the 5-run early payout. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Tampa Bay Rays lost today, but lead the AL East at 34-17. Yankees won today. They're 3.5 back, 32-22. 2-1 pitch, swing and a miss. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Then you got the Blue Jays, 25-28, 10 back in a game out of the third wildcard spot entering play today. Baltimore Orioles 24-30 after beating the Rays. They're 11.5 back. And the Red Sox 22-30. They're 12.5 games behind. And I believe they're off today. Two-two pitch. High. Almost offered at by Lopez on that slider that works more like a rise ball in softball than a breaking ball. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Our standings watch presented by Bet365. 3-2 pitch. Inside ball 4. A walk from Rogers. even excluding the plethora of intentional walks he's been asked to do early in the year, walks are up for the Submariner Rogers this season. Not something you typically see with him. Still lower than most guys, but
it's right around league average, though, which is almost unheard of for him when you look at his career track record.
He walked 7 guys in almost 80 innings last year, and that last walk for him was his 6th unintentional walk of the year in about a third of the innings. His pitch to Kyle Stowers is hit to the left, foul 0-1. The good thing, even though it's first and second and nobody out, because he is as good of a bet to get a ground ball double play right now as pretty much any pitcher in the majors.
I was looking at it last at bat because Otto Lopez is near the league leaders in ground ball rate himself.
0-1. Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Stowers often is looking to get it up in the air, but that's just so hard to do at times against the sinker of Tyler Rogers. 1-1 pitch. Deemed high, and Brandon Valenzuela is going to ask to use the second Blue Jays ABS challenge. It's brought to you by xcopper.com. Valenzuela clapping before he sees the result, and it's because that was way in the zone. Called strike makes it 1-2, and the Blue Jays still have 1 challenge left.
That is a Dalton Rushing level of what you see there, bud.
Yeah. I guess harder to call like he's harder to hit, Tyler Rogers, potentially. His pitches do things. I was talking with Spencer Horwitz about Rogers a little bit, and he was saying he just has 2 pitches no one else has. The pitches he throws, there's no comparable. 1-2 is line toward left and fair. Down for a base hit down the line. Coming around third, Hicks scores. Into third goes Lopez. Stowers into second, RBI double. It's 6-2 Marlins, and Stowers is dancing on second base at Rogers Center.
Well, there may not be any other pitches like it, and you're right. The closest comp is actually Chase Lee, who's in the Blue Jays bullpen. He's the only guy even remotely close from an arm angle perspective, but no one is really close. The one issue is, while it's unconventional, there's very little swing and miss, so Rogers can be susceptible to a couple of hits falling in. Here it's an infield one, a walk, and then one not exactly ripped down the left field line.
That's where the walk really burns you as well to bring in the run. Second and third, nobody out. Infield in with Jacob Marcy up. And the first pitch is bounced off the plate high in the air to third. Waiting on an Okamoto gloves. Rifles to first for the out. But coming in to score Otto Lopez. RBI ground out. And on to third base goes Stowers. It's 7-2. Or pardon me, 7-2 for the Marlins. 1 out top of the 8th.
The Jays actually a little lucky there with that chopper because Marcy can really run, and it took a while for that thing to come back down. No play at home, no play at third, but enough on the Okamoto throw to get Marcy.
Yeah, this is a spot where, yes, it was good for the ground ball double play, but now the contact that Rogers generates might help the Marlins score runs. They still have a runner on third, 1 out. The infield will remain in with Javier Sanoja. First pitch in there for a strike 0-1.
And this is where, obviously, Rogers is a very good pitcher. He's been very good for the Blue Jays this year. But if you wonder why a guy like that hasn't found himself in a closer role over time, it's that situations like this where you could really use a swing and miss.
Ground ball back to the mound. Stabbed by Rogers way off third base is Stowers. He's caught in a rundown. Throw to Okamoto. He'll option to Valenzuela, who's chasing Stowers, applies the tag, and he is out. Going all the way to third is Sanoja. Good composure there by Tyler Rogers, preventing another run from coming in by stabbing that comebacker, and they're now 2 down. Bounced right above his left shoulder, right into the glove hand. And Rogers actually almost got in the way of Stowers. Did a good job once he threw a bouncing out of the baseline, too, to avoid any sort of interference play. But because he's thrown 17 pitches and the score now 7-2, John Schneider is going to make a pitching change here, brought to you by Home Hardware, the official home improvement retailer for the Toronto Blue Jays, locally owned, genuinely Canadian. 2 runs in the inning for the Marlins. Runner on second, 2 outs, top of the 8th, 7-2 lead. Let's send it over to today's host. Here's Show Ali.
Thanks, Ben. Let's check out that St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard across Major League Baseball this Monday evening. number of games going on right now. A lot of finals that we can get to some of as well. Ben had mentioned that Tatsuya Amai no-hitter. The no-hit bid is still, in fact, intact, but it is now a team no-hitter. Amai was taken out of that ballgame after 6 complete innings. So his final line will look like 6 innings, no hits, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts. He faced 20 batters. He threw 97 pitches, 57 of which were strikes. Steven Okert into the game. He had an inning of no-hit ball as well. He did walk 1, so this game is now headed to the bottom of the 8th inning. Other games on right now, zeros between the Rockies and Dodgers, and I think this game has not yet started. Yeah, this game starts in about 10 minutes. The Seattle Mariners will take on the Athletics out west. A couple of finals for us to get to as well include the Baltimore Orioles winning 9-7 in 13 innings over the Tampa Bay Rays in Baltimore. Of course, the Orioles will come to Toronto the Blue Jays will go to Baltimore starting Thursday. And then the Yankees did beat the Royals 4-3 at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. Blue Jays baseball, as always, brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Let's get you back to the action. Here's Ben Schulman and Blake Murphy.
Thank you, Show. The Blue Jays will call upon southpaw reliever Adam Macko. The Canadian left-hander is into the ballgame as he continues what's been a whirlwind rookie week or so. He's making his 5th major league appearance. He's pitched a scoreless 3 1/3, 2 hits, no walks. He has hit a batter, 3 Ks for the lefty Macko so far. He'll go left on left with Owen Casey, his Team Canada teammate. Runner on second, 2 down, 7-2 Marlins. And the pitch, called strike.
Spoke to Macko pregame about the possibility of coming in a matchup like this. He said all 3 Canadians on the Marlins, who he's familiar with, they're all dogs, but had a bit of a smirk on his face when I asked about possibly getting to see one of them in the box.
Long look at second, and the 0-1 is fouled back 0-2. All 3 of the Canadian Marlins played on Canada's World Baseball Classic team, Casey, Lopez, Hicks. And Macko had one of the most important pitching outings against Team USA in Canada's near-miss upset in the quarterfinals. Oh-2. Fouled in and out of the glove of Valenzuela. Can't hold on. Still no balls, 2 strikes. I mean, World Baseball Classic, Major League Baseball, you probably have to ask different guys on what would be more pressure-packed. But Macko comes in against Team USA. Biggest game, I think you could argue, in the history of Canada's baseball program. And he punched out Harper and Schwarber in a single inning. 0-2 is hooked on the ground through the right side, a base hit into right field. Sanoha with a motor speeds around third. The throw from Sanchez is just behind the head first slide of Sanoha. It's an RBI single for Casey and an 8-2 Marlins lead. Well, if nothing else, it's been a pretty good night for the Canadians involved.